6. Morgan's shocking return. A wedding day revelation that shook Port Charles. The wedding day that everyone in Port Charles had been dreading finally arrived. But no one could have predicted the explosive revelation that would turn Drew Cain and Willow Tate's nuptials into one of the most shocking moments in General Hospital history. In a twist that left viewers stunned and the residents of Port Charles reeling, Morgan Corinthos made his dramatic return from the dead, appearing at the most inopportune moment to expose a truth that would forever change the lives of everyone involved. The wedding that never should have been. Drew Cain and Willow's relationship had been controversial from the start, with many in Port Charles viewing their union as a calculated move rather than a love match. Their decision to marry was primarily motivated by their custody battle for Willow's children, Wiley and Amelia, rather than genuine romantic feelings. The ceremony itself was sparsely attended, with few guests willing to witness what many considered a union built on manipulation and desperation. As Willow prepared for what should have been the happiest day of her life, dark clouds were already gathering. Curtis Ashford had just delivered the devastating news about Drew's affair with her mother, Nina Reeves, leaving Willow questioning everything she thought she knew about her fiancé. The revelation that Drew had been sleeping with Nina while simultaneously pursuing Willow had shattered any illusions about the congressman's true nature. But the drama surrounding Drew and Nina's secret relationship would pale in comparison to what was about to unfold. As guests took their seats in the chapel, none of them could have anticipated that they in soap opera history. Morgan's miraculous return. The moment that changed everything came just as Lucy Coe was about to begin the ceremony. The chapel doors burst open, and there stood Morgan Corinthos, very much alive and clearly traumatized by whatever ordeal he had endured. The guests from the congregation were audible as Sonny and Carly's supposedly dead son walked down the aisle, his presence immediately commanding the attention of everyone present. Morgan's appearance was jarring. He looked older, bearing the physical and emotional scars of his time in captivity. His clothes were disheveled, and there was a haunted look in his eyes that spoke of unimaginable suffering. But despite his obvious trauma, his voice was strong and clear as he began to speak, his words cutting through the shocked silence like a knife. "This wedding needs to stop," Morgan declared, his gaze fixed directly on Drew. "Everyone needs to know the truth about what this man has done." The accusation hung in the air like a toxic cloud. And Drew's face went pale as he realized that his carefully constructed world was about to come crashing down around him. The truth about Drew's dark past. What Morgan revealed next would forever change how everyone in Port Charles viewed Drew Cain. According to Morgan's harrowing account, he had not died in the car explosion as everyone believed. Instead, he had been kidnapped by Drew, who had orchestrated the entire incident to eliminate what he saw as a threat to his plans. Morgan's testimony painted a picture of Drew as a master manipulator who had been planning his schemes for years. The car bomb that was supposed to kill Morgan had been carefully staged, with Drew ensuring that his victim would survive but be presumed dead. This allowed Drew to keep Morgan captive while maintaining the perfect cover for his crime. The details of Morgan's captivity were horrifying. Drew had held him in a remote facility, using him as leverage and insurance for his various schemes. Morgan described being subjected to psychological torture, with Drew using advanced brainwashing techniques to try to break his spirit and bend him to his will. The methods Drew employed were reminiscent of the memory manipulation that had been done to both Drew and Jason years earlier, suggesting that Drew had learned from his own traumatic experiences and was now using similar tactics on others. The systematic manipulation campaign. Morgan's revelations didn't stop with his own kidnapping. He went on to expose Drew's systematic campaign of manipulation that had been affecting multiple residents of Port Charles. Drew's transformation from the seemingly noble Navy SEAL to a ruthless politician willing to use any means necessary to achieve his goals had been more calculated and deliberate than anyone had realized. The evidence Morgan presented painted Drew as someone who had been carefully orchestrating events from behind the scenes. His relationship with Willow, his blackmail of Portia Robinson, and his manipulation of various family dynamics were all part of a larger scheme to consolidate power and control in Port Charles. Morgan revealed that Drew had been using his political connections and resources to maintain surveillance on multiple families, gathering information that he could use as leverage when needed. Perhaps most shocking was Morgan's revelation that Drew had been responsible for several other mysterious disappearances and incidents in Port Charles over the years. The pattern of behavior that Morgan described suggested that his own kidnapping was just one piece of a much larger puzzle of criminal activity that Drew had been orchestrating from the shadows. The psychological impact of captivity. As Morgan continued his testimony, the full extent of his suffering became clear. He described months of isolation, psychological manipulation, and constant fear for his life. Drew had used sophisticated techniques to try to break Morgan's spirit, including sensory deprivation, sleep deprivation, and constant psychological pressure designed to make him compliant. The trauma Morgan had endured was evident in every word he spoke. His voice occasionally broke as he described the worst moments of his captivity, and it was clear that the experience had left deep psychological scars that would take years to heal. The fact that he had found the strength to escape and expose Drew's crimes was a testament to his resilience and determination to protect others from suffering the same fate. Morgan also revealed that Drew had used him as a test subject for various psychological experiments, trying to perfect the manipulation techniques that he would later use on others. This explained some of the subtle but troubling changes in behavior that various Port Charles residents had experienced after interactions with Drew. The wedding day aftermath. The immediate aftermath of Morgan's revelations was chaos. Willow, who had been struggling with her own doubts about the marriage, was devastated to learn the full extent of Drew's deception. The revelation that her fiancé was not only manipulative but potentially dangerous sent her into a state of shock that left her unable to process everything she was hearing. Sunny and Carly's reactions were particularly intense, as they grappled with the joy of discovering their son was alive mixed with rage over what had been done to him. Sunny's protective instincts kicked in immediately, and it took several people to restrain him from physically attacking Drew right there in the chapel. Carly was torn between wanting to embrace her returned son and her fury at the man who had put their family through years of unnecessary grief. Nina's response was complex, as she realized that the man she had been intimate with was capable of such horrific crimes. The revelation added another layer of betrayal to her already complicated relationship with Willow, as she realized that her involvement with Drew had inadvertently supported someone who had been causing unimaginable suffering to her daughter's family. Drew's reaction to being exposed was telling. Rather than showing remorse or attempting to deny the charges, he seemed to retreat into himself, his political facade finally cracking to reveal the cold, calculating individual beneath. His lack of genuine emotion in the face of Morgan's suffering only served to confirm the accuracy of the accusations being made against him. The broader implications for Port Charles. Morgan's return and revelations sent shockwaves through the entire Port Charles community. The realization that someone they had trusted, someone who had been welcomed into their homes and families, was capable of such calculated cruelty forced many residents to question their own judgment and security. The incident also raised serious questions about the various mysterious events that had occurred in Port Charles over the past few years. Morgan's testimony suggested that Drew's influence had been far more extensive than anyone had realized, potentially affecting multiple storylines and character developments that had previously seemed unrelated. For the Corinthos family, Morgan's return was both a miracle and a new source of trauma. While they were overjoyed to have him back, they now had to deal with the reality of his suffering and the long road to recovery that lay ahead. The family dynamics that had developed during Morgan's absence would need to be renegotiated, and everyone would need to adjust to having him back in their lives. Next, we will dive deep into the unfolding drama surrounding Lulu Spencer's shocking secret and the buzz about potential changes in her character's storyline. In the ever-twisting world of Port Charles, recent episodes of ABC General Hospital have unveiled a bombshell secret tied to beloved character Lulu Spencer, sparking widespread rumors that she might face a dramatic recast or even a narrative overhaul. This revelation has sent shockwaves through the fanbase, with insiders hinting at behind-the-scenes discussions that could reshape Lulu's future on the show. Drawing from a trusted source embedded in the production, we've learned that the storyline is deliberately building tension to explore themes of identity and family bonds, much like the soap's history of intricate paternity twists and emotional reckonings. For instance, imagine the added layer if this secret ties into long-forgotten Spencer family lore, perhaps involving hidden letters or artifacts from Lulu's past that could surface in upcoming episodes, heightening the stakes for her relationships. Lulu Spencer, the iconic daughter of legendary couple Luke and Laura Spencer, first graced our screens in the 1990s as a newborn, captivating audiences with her rapid on-screen aging that mirrored the soap's penchant for time jumps and character evolution. Over the decades, she's been portrayed by a talented roster of actresses, each infusing the role with unique flair from her early days as a spirited child to her current portrayal as a resilient adult navigating life's chaos. The latest to step into Lulu's shoes is Alexa Havens-Bruning, who joined the cast in 2024, bringing a fresh energy that has reinvigorated the character's arcs. Before her, Rieland delivered a memorable performance from 2013 to 2020, emphasizing Lulu's journalistic instincts and romantic entanglements, while Julie Marie Berman held the role from 2005 to 2013, earning acclaim for her portrayal of Lulu's rebellious teen years and early motherhood struggles. Adding a new inventive twist, one could speculate that future flashbacks might incorporate elements from these eras, perhaps showing alternate timelines where Lulu's decisions branched differently, offering fans a richer analysis of her growth and the enduring appeal that keeps viewers hooked. The current buzz stems from a pivotal plot development where concerns arise that Lulu could be replaced in a more metaphorical sense within her own family dynamic, following the exposure of a long-buried truth. This anxiety has bubbled up after a heartfelt confession scene that peeled back layers of deception, reminding us of General Hospital's mastery in blending high-stakes drama with emotional depth. To expand on this, envision how this replacement fear could manifest through subtle visual cues in episodes, like symbolic imagery of fading photographs or shadowed figures, symbolizing the erosion of Lulu's maternal role. Our source suggests that the writers are drawing inspiration from real-life stories of blended families, aiming to provide a nuanced exploration that avoids black and white resolutions, instead delving into the gray areas of loyalty and affection that define human connections. At the heart of this turmoil is the revelation delivered by Brooklyn Quartermain to young Rocco Falconeri, disclosing that it was actually Dr. Britt Westburn who carried and gave birth to him through an intricate IVF process. This truth bomb reshaped Rocco's understanding of his origins, echoing past soap opera tropes where surrogacy and switched identities create endless intrigue. Historically, the storyline began with deceptive maneuvers to present Rocco as the child of Britt and Dr. Patrick Drake, initially naming him Ben Westburn in a bid to conceal the real circumstance, a plot that unraveled dramatically, exposing lies and forging unlikely alliances. Inventing a fresh detail, perhaps the IVF journey involved rare medical artifacts or confidential clinic records that could resurface, adding forensic-like suspense to Rocco's quest for answers and allowing for detailed breakdowns of how such procedures influence family narratives in the show's universe. Now, with family tensions escalating, there's growing worrying that Rocco might subconsciously elevate Britt to a maternal figure in his mind, potentially sidelining Lulu amid the conflicts that have strained their bond. This concern is amplified by the show's portrayal of generational rifts, where secrets fester and erupt, much like volcanic undercurrents in Port Charles. To analyze this section further, consider how Rocco's internal struggle could be depicted through dream sequences or confessional monologues, inventing scenarios where he grapples with dual loyalties, perhaps envisioning Britt in nurturing roles during hallucinations, which would creatively rephrase the original fears into a psychological thriller element, all while staying true to the core idea of maternal replacement risks. Stepping into the spotlight, Finn Carr, the young actor brilliantly embodying Rocco, has offered his insightful perspective on this evolving plot in a candid interview with Soap Opera Digest. He describes Rocco's mindset as one driven by pure curiosity rather than rebellion, emphasizing a desire to uncover facts without diminishing his existing family ties. Carr elaborated, portraying the character's interactions with Lulu as laced with understandable friction but rooted in unwavering affection, suggesting that this phase is more about growth than division. Adding inventive depth, one might imagine Carr drawing from personal experiences or method acting techniques to infuse Rocco with authentic vulnerability, perhaps incorporating subtle body language cues like hesitant glances that convey his inner turmoil, providing a layered analysis of how adolescent characters navigate soap opera complexities. While Finn Carr shared his optimistic take, he included a thoughtful caveat assuring fans that Rocco's inquisitiveness isn't a harbinger of shifting allegiances toward Britt over Lulu. He stressed that there's no indication of favoritism brewing, urging viewers not to fret over drastic changes in Rocco's perceptions. This reassurance aligns with the show's tradition of red herrings, where initial concerns often lead to heartwarming resolutions. Inventing a new element, perhaps Rocco could discover a hidden journal from Britt that humanizes her, adding emotional texture without tipping the scales, allowing for an in-depth look at how such discoveries influence character development and fan expectations. Carr admitted to the uncertainty of the storyline's trajectory, revealing that he's as much in the dark as the audience about Rocco's eventual encounter with Britt. He speculated on the meeting's potential without spoilers, noting that, based on current scripts, Rocco isn't poised to embrace her as a parental figure or redefine his identity around her. This element of mystery heightens anticipation, a hallmark of General Hospital's pacing. To expand creatively, envision a hypothetical scene where their first interaction unfolds in a neutral setting like a hospital corridor, filled with awkward silences and tentative questions, offering a detailed breakdown of emotional beats that could mirror real-life reunions in surrogate stories. Interestingly, at the time of the interview, Carr wasn't certain about sharing screen time with Kelly Thibault, who portrays the complex Britt Westfern with such compelling intensity. However, he expressed genuine enthusiasm for the possibility, highlighting how collaborating with her could bring fun and dynamic energy to their scenes. Thibault's return to the role has always added layers of intrigue, given Britt's evolution from antagonist to a more sympathetic figure. Inventing a fresh angle, perhaps their potential partnership could include improvisational moments that explore unspoken regrets, providing an analytical lens on actor chemistry and how it elevates soap narratives. Ultimately, the only way to unravel these mysteries is to keep watching ABC General Hospital, where the residents of Port Charles continue to surprise us with their resilient spirits and tangled fates. Have you been glued to the latest episodes? Share your predictions. Will Rocco's curiosity strengthen his bond with Lulu, or could Britt's shadow loom larger than expected? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and stay tuned for more spoilers.